Hey everyone, thanks for hanging out. Happy holidays to you. I've got my eggnog here. Hey, so hopefully you are around a warm fire or you're cozy indoors planning the next great adventure or perhaps a wintertime adventure. It occurred to me the other day that overlanding is exactly like boating, except that it's pretty much completely the opposite. But that's the topic of conversation today is the similarities. Now look, overlanding over the last few years has become very popular and there's a good reason for it. Wait, actually there are only three good reasons why overlanding has become so popular and continues to become so popular. So I'm going to break down those 3 reasons for you right now. So first of all, we are nomadic and we need adventure in our life. Adventure is necessary, and as we get more high tech, more and more people are turning to overlanding as a way to find balance. That's one. B, as housing costs continue to increase, right? The cost of housing is nuts these days. Housing costs are increasing, and the advancements in readily accessible technology to keep us connected means that we have more freedom. Houses are expensive. And hey, also, you know, in 2016, this is an interesting thing I heard the other day. In 2016, we're still on number 2. In 2016, the number of people buying mobile recreational vehicles like motorhomes and things of that nature was, for the very first time ever in history, folks were 45 years old or younger, the majority of folks. So that goes to people becoming more mobile just as a way of life. So that's number 2. That's number B. Finally, overlanding is accessible to everyone. It doesn't matter what your background or location is, there's some flavor of overlanding that's accessible to you, and so it's easy for us to go out and find that connection with nature. We just need to know how to do it safely. It doesn't matter what your specific interest is, whether it's photography or snowboarding or mountain biking. Overlanding allows you to go farther and do more. So those are the 3 reasons why overlanding has become really, really popular. Now let's talk. I need to see if I turned on my microphone. Yeah, we're rolling. Okay, let's talk about the number of overlanders in North America alone. If you look at people who are interested in these 3 things, automobiles, vehicles, that's a hobby, it's an interest. Outdoor recreation and camping, they are interested in all 3 things. There are 50 million overlanders in North America alone, and that's a conservative estimate, right? I mean, you don't necessarily even have to be interested in all 3 things to be interested in overlanding. So the fact that overlanding is growing shouldn't really be a surprise to us. And you know, I think there's still like 100 people out there that still think that overlanding is a very narrow, specific thing. You know, you need to be able to go on the road for 3 months or 3 years, and you know, you got to have solar panels and a dual battery setup and all that kind of stuff. And that's all rad. I mean, that's all really, really cool. I'm from California. I just said rad. I can't help it. You'll also hear me saying hella every once in a while because I'm from Northern California. Okay, so that's all cool, and I like all that stuff. And actually, the kind of overlanding that Corey and I tend to do can, you know, skew over to the hardcore side. And so we have that gear and we have that kind of stuff. But it's not required, and to say it's required or those are some of the boxes you have to check in order to be overlanding is really limiting in terms of this great, awesome, you know, thing we call overlanding. It's actually, the potential is so much greater, which is awesome. So let's start tying this in. So overlanding, it sort of covers all interests, right? That's why it's so broad. You have a hunter that says, hey, I could stay out longer safely, supported by my vehicle, and I could go farther and go off grid. Well, that's awesome. Well, all of a sudden that person becomes interested in outfitting their rig specific to hunting as an overland rig. I'm going to be gone 3 weeks hunting, and these are the things that I need. That's a specific thing. And you have photographers, or you have, like I said, mountain bikers or hikers, or any interest that may take you outdoors, fishing, kayaking. It just goes on and on and on. That's all supported by a purpose-built rig. You can do more and enjoy what it is you're into more if you've got something to support you safely. Make sure you have the things that you need to be both safe and to sustain you for a long period of time if necessary. So now think about boating, right? I mean, a boat will support all kinds of different lifestyles. If you like to go kayaking, you're on a river. If you guys know where I'm going with this, right? If you like to fish, you go to specific places. You have a specific kind of boat. If leisure and luxury is your thing, and believe me, I've seen overland setups that take 45 minutes to an hour just to unfold, right? If leisure and luxury is your thing in the boat world, well, there are those options for you, cabin cruisers. But then you also have sailing, right? Like maybe you don't even want to use a motor. You'd prefer to sail on the open water and rely on the winds. Or maybe you only like saltwater boating and you don't like going on a lake or a river. Or maybe you have you're a person of means, pinkies up, and you can afford a mega yacht. Well, that's really going to be different than somebody who would prefer actually to just go out on a lake on a canoe, but it's all boating. And so when you say, when somebody says, I'm an overlander, we can't nod and go, oh, okay, cool, I know exactly what you're into. You got no idea, right? Like same with boating. Somebody says, I'm into boating. You have no idea what that person means until you start to discover or you start to ask more questions. Now here's a fun part. Now I know that most of my overland community, my close overland community, we like hardware. We like the gear. We like to wrench on things, and that's a lot of fun. We also like to be knowledgeable about various aspects. So similar to boating, when you think of boating, there's this understood background of safety with boating. They kind of go hand in hand. You wear a life vest for one thing, right? You've got safety equipment, and you should know that pounding a 12-pack of beers and going into a populated lake with your speedboat isn't cool. You're kind of safety minded, and if you've got a 50-foot planing hull power boat, you become a captain, and you go through the regiment and the discipline to complete courses to learn about navigation, how to be safe for you and your passengers. And that's a really important point for overlanding too, and it's also the fun part. Overlanding is something that you can become good at, just like boating, whether you're a captain or whether you drive a speedboat, whatever the case may be. With overlanding, you can become good at it. And the more off-grid, the more exploration that you do, the more extreme your overlanding gets, if that's what you're really interested in. You want to get lost, get off-grid, maybe discover some new places, at least some places that people maybe haven't seen for decades. Well, then you have a responsibility to then become really good at overlanding. And that means learning about safety equipment, learning about the limits of your vehicle, learning about navigation, learning how to drive in those circumstances, and doing the discipline. Captain of a ship does not just take a ship out. They work with the community, they work with another captain, they work with instructors to get their license to become a captain, to do all the things. And if you're gonna, as you get more extreme with your overlanding, you also want to go through that discipline and become really good at overlanding for the safety of yourself and your passengers. So that's another huge similarity between overlanding and boating. You got to do it, and actually, that's the fun part. That's really where your community can come in, and why connecting with the community can do so much for you. If, again, no matter what your interest is, if you want to outfit your rig to do specifically what you want to do, whether it's hunting or exploration for exploration's sake, just connecting with nature, getting outdoors, taking your family, connecting with the community can be a huge shortcut, because you have folks that have done it for years and years and years who are happy to help. And that is the awesome thing about the Overland community, is that when somebody's interested in it, there are all these different aspects of overlanding. You can connect with that community and they're glad to help. They would drop what they're doing at a moment's notice to help somebody who needed it, whether they were in trouble, or they just needed advice. I want to do this specific thing. I have this specific kind of rig. Who else has worked with that kind of rig for overlanding? What solutions have you come up with? So connecting with the community is key. One of the main points tonight, and thanks for hanging out with me, is that the exciting thing about overlanding is that it is so broad and that it can be so specific if you want it to be, but overlanding just sort of includes it all, very similar to boating. There are a lot of similarities there. Now, when you start requiring specific things, that's when it kind of starts getting elitist, and it's not, nobody likes that. We can't all afford $1 million land yacht or get 3 months to 3 years off work. So we don't want to limit it in that way. There are all kinds of overlanders, and there's a great article by Graham Bell over on our website. You guys should check out. He's been on the road for years with his family. He drives a Defender 130, and he draws a lot of similarities between overlanding and surfing and that kind of lifestyle. And overlanders are overlanders, whether they're at their desk or they're out in the great outdoors. It's the desire to be off-road and off-grid, and it's not a specific thing. It's inclusive, and it includes all. The vehicle dependent part is kind of the only thing that defines it as overlanding. And so in that way, it's different than camping, right? Because camping isn't vehicle dependent. So we say, overland bound, we say overlanding is vehicle dependent travel. And it doesn't matter what you drive. Those are a couple of our sayings, and we do that to put a stake in the ground, right? You can drive a Toyota, you can drive a Jeep, you can drive whatever. Now, what you ask your vehicle to do is a different matter. You have to be safe. But then the definition of overlanding is just vehicle dependent. You have a vehicle as a platform, you don't have a boat as a platform. So it's inclusive, and that's what's awesome about overlanding to us. Overlanding is for everyone. Again, we went through that list, and you can continue thinking. What haven't we mentioned? Treasure seekers, bird watchers, naturalists, authors who want to get off the grid and do their work. The list just goes on, and you can outfit your rig and learn a set of skills to be prepared and support you to journey farther, have more adventure and exploration. And that's the whole point, is you get a custom tailor it to your needs. There's a whole community of people out there that are focused on vehicle dependent travel, and any one of them, I'm happy to say we're very proud to be members of the Overland community, and any one of them would drop what they're doing to go and help you if you're in need. It's a wonderful community. You guys, adventure is what it's all about. That's what this is all about, and everybody needs a little bit of adventure in their life. And hey, I want to wrap up with a little holiday thought here. We all get together with our family, and we have the opportunity for some downtime, but I want you guys to think of those folks who aren't able to come home for the holidays, and maybe they're struggling. And if you can, do something for somebody that might be having a hard time this holiday. And if we all do a little bit, we'll make it a better holiday season for everyone. That's it, you guys. Adventure is necessary. Outfit, explore. Maybe we'll see you out there on the trail, and thanks for hanging out.